another individual on the domestic terrorism side of things, so not necessarily internationally terroristic in nature, but Schuyler Barbeau, someone that you're familiar with.
Are you, Schuyler, a danger as you've been portrayed to the public?
Not to the public. Only to those who wish to do harm. I consider myself to be like a sheepdog against the wolves. The only people I'm a threat to are people that have evil intents.
Hi everyone, this is Erin, and I'm here to tell you about Schuyler Barbeau. Please write to him at this address, SeaTac Federal Detention Center. Please write to His Honorable Judge Richard Jones. And don't forget to include his case number, 15 CR 391 RAJ. Now, if you want to learn more about Schuyler Barbeau, you can go to freejubilee.com and click on Schuyler at the top. You'll find his information here. And it's Year of Jubilee with one E. You scroll down here and you can see his statement about his plea deal, and it's linked right here. I'm going to read it to you. It says, "My friends, my supporters, the public, the media, and everyone else concerned about my case. I know you have all been blown away by what happened Tuesday afternoon. I know everyone is dying to know what happened. I have needed to take some time to first come down from the high of my really stressful trial and trial prep, and second, to think about how and what to tell everyone. I'm not going to explain every single detail about everything, just the basics." And this is dated June 11th, 17. It was the second day of trial. The government called their fourth witness, an ATF agent who was giving expert testimony as the one who tested and examined my rifle and certified that it was a machine gun as defined and a short-barreled rifle as defined in the law. I was kind of excited for when I would get to cross-examine, because I had told the jury in my opening statements that I was charged with possession in violation of the law, and I was going to show through the evidence that the law doesn't apply to all people in all situations. An expert's testimony is, quote, evidence that the jury is to consider when determining guilt on the facts. My plan was to have the two ATF agents argue the law for me in the answers to my questions. All I was going to do was ask questions about the laws and regulations and leave it to the jury to think about the answers and determine that the law didn't apply to me or my rifle, and thus find that I possess the rifle not in violation of the law as the indictment charges. I thought it was a good strategy. We hit our first recess and I was told that my attorney wanted me to stop the trial. So we went back to a private room to talk about it. So then I asked him what he was thinking. He told me that if I continued with the trial that I would be found guilty 100% for sure. That the jury has already been given their instruction about how to apply the law and the elements the government is required to prove. That the government has pretty much already proved everything, and that he heard someone else in the courtroom say that if I continued the trial, the judge was going to give me a harsh sentence. I said, but my strategy to argue the law through the ATF agents. He said that the ATF witness was not going to give me the answers I want. I thought about all this for a few minutes. I guess I realized he was right. I thought, so what if I convince a few of the jurors and get a hung jury? Judge will declare a mistrial, and I'll have to go through it all again. But they will make it a lot harder the second time around. I realized that it didn't matter anymore. The court already rejected my arguments on the law, and they always will. They are not ever going to allow people to have machine guns they make themselves. If my judge were to agree with my arguments and dismiss my case, it would set precedent that anybody can have an unregistered short-barreled select-fire rifle as long as you made the thing yourself instead of buying one out of interstate commerce. Do you think the FBI wants that, or the ATF, or the DEA, the Department of Justice, police, and other law enforcement everywhere? No. Judges are not going to let that happen. I guess in that moment I realized my fight was over. I didn't want a harsh sentence for fighting when I knew I was going to lose. It was a hard pill for me to swallow, and it's a hard pill you all need to swallow too. In that moment, and I'm not sure why, I felt okay with it. I prayed about it and didn't get my answer, but I did feel at peace about it. After these 18 months being stressed out about it, the coming trial, I'm glad it's all over, even though it wasn't in my favor. I only had so much energy to fight to the run the race. I ran out of my endurance. I burnt out. So when my standby suggested I change my plea, I just wanted to be done. For those people out there who are mad that I gave up the fight, I can tell you that I am more angry that you didn't help me the way I needed. I'm sure he is. I have waited 1.5 years for some attorney to come forward to offer to take my case. I know there's tons of Second Amendment attorneys out there, yet no one came to my aid. At first, my one hope that I held on to for so long was that out of the thousands, quote, of supporters out there, someone would find me an attorney to fight for our Second Amendment rights. I couldn't tell you how many times I've been asked by my appointed attorneys, my prison guards, and my fellow inmates why no one in the Patriot movement has found me an attorney. All I can do is shrug my shoulders and respond with, "That's a really good question." So don't be mad at me. I am only capable of so much, which I did do everything I could, even representing myself because my attorneys refused to fight for me. How do I feel about that? Well, quite a bit disappointed. So many times I laid in my bunk thinking about it, sometimes thinking about telling everyone to just forget about me and let me suffer in solitude. I don't know why I keep getting letters from people telling me how there is so much division and drama between everyone. Maybe if you all would quit your bickering, I could have gotten out of prison. My friends in Nevada and Oregon could get out of prison. I remember right after the Sugar Pine Mine operation was over, quote, leadership, unquote, was doing an after-action review meeting and forming the Pacific Patriots Network. I was just then launching my own security operation for an animal sanctuary in Anacortes, Washington. I called in during the meeting to describe to everyone what was going on. I remember Stewart Rhodes, founder of Oath Keepers, telling me that I need to put together a rockin' team of lawyers. It's hard to do from jail. I wasn't quite able to do that, but that case was eventually dropped. But when one of Oath Keepers' own goes down, where was my rockin' team of lawyers? I'm sure Stewart has heard of my situation. I'm sure others in the Oath Keepers organization have heard about my case. I wrote to the Second Amendment Foundation. twice, and had a few people call them, and I was told they said they didn't have the resources or attorneys for my case. It wasn't until about 3 or 4 weeks ago that someone had tried to get the NRA to help me. They said that because I wasn't a member, they couldn't help. Maybe I shouldn't be ranting about how I feel, since I have been trying to leave my trust in God that His hand is involved, that He will take care of me. But my feelings are strong about things, and I am generally a very passionate person. Regarding the confidential human source in my case, his name is already out there, so I'm not going to mention it. I want everyone to leave him alone. It's not his fault that I got arrested and locked up. He played a part, that is all. That is the end of it. He was my best friend up until the moment of my arrest. It was my own fault I got arrested. It was the running of my mouth. It was the out-of-line statements that I was making on my Facebook. It was the dumb things I said in my recorded phone calls that got the FBI's attention. Remember that I got on the government's radar when I showed up at the Bundy Ranch in 2014, and then stayed on that radar when I deployed to Sugar Pine Mountain. Then my own operation in Courthouse, Washington. Then the operation in Montana. Then I was about to deploy to Oregon to support the Hammonds when I got arrested. The FBI was looking for an excuse to arrest me. That's why I'm a political prisoner. My best friend happened to be the person I confided in about how I really felt about things, my really strong opinions. I said some things that I regret. I put him into a difficult position when the FBI contacted him. He had to weigh his friendship with me, which started out genuinely and helping the government, who are just people at the end of the day. My friend pretty much begged me to stop saying the things I was saying, but I didn't listen. I should have listened, because maybe I wouldn't be where I am today. In my opinion, should he have helped the feds? No. Should I have the same expectation of an average citizen, quote, as I do one of my Patriot militia friends? Or rather, the same expectation of the sheep as I do of my fellow sheepdogs? No. And at the same time, should I have been running my mouth uncontrollably like I was? No. I have professed my whole life to be a Christian. Was I being Christ-like, talking about shootouts with law enforcement or making other threatening statements? No. Was Jesus mad at his friend Judas when he betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver? No. I chose to be like Jesus, to forgive and forget. I chose to blame myself because of my own behaviors. If anyone were to interview my old friend, I wouldn't be surprised if he would be in total agreement with what I just said. So with that, I want all the hate to stop. That crap all reflects back on me, and that's not what I'm about. Conduct yourselves honorably at all times, and if you profess to be a Christian, make sure you keep your walk with Jesus, because you otherwise are likely to get yourself in trouble. For freedom and liberty, in God we trust. Schuyler Barbeau.